What's happening, everybody? Jay Shockblast here, and a little late on this one, but better late than never. I saw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the new movie from Michael Bay, a few weeks ago. I think it was about 2 weeks ago at this point, and yeah, it wasn't as terrible as I was expecting it to be. But you know, there's definitely some room for improvement. So, you know, the movie as a whole wasn't a total disaster. Um, I can definitely say it was. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't have like this huge, you know, love or hatred for the movie. I think right out of the gate, if I had to, you know, throw a ranking on it, I would probably give it a strong 6 out of 10. Um, but you know, there's definitely room for improvement. I would say that the ending of the movie really kind of saved it for the movie. Like, it's an origin story of sorts, so they're definitely establishing, you know, the story as Michael Bay envisions it throughout the movie, and you know, there's only so many times you can kind of see that with the turtles. The thing is that, you know, there's two kind of story arcs for you to really follow. There's, you know, the original comic books, and then there is the cartoon from the late 80s, early 90s. Either way you slice it, Splinter, I don't know, I don't remember him starting as an actual rat. I thought he was like a person that kind of morphed into a rat, but you know, that was probably my biggest beef with the movie in general. You know, I don't really, I guess, care enough to sit here and say, well, you know, to nitpick every detail of the movie. In the grand scheme of things, I think the personalities of the turtles, they kind of hit, you know, pretty well. For the record, there is more than likely going to be spoilers here, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, I would definitely move on. But you know, all in all, it wasn't. It was a slow start for me. You know, the pacing early on was a little slow. I would have liked to have seen it go a little faster, but you know, the story definitely picked up, and the end of the movie was actually, you know, fairly interesting. Lots of action. You know, there you see the kind of inner turmoil between the turtles. You know, Raphael is the hothead, and Leonardo, who is voiced by Johnny Knoxville, surprisingly, he's you know, the leader type, and you know, Donatello is the dorky type, and you know, Michelangelo is just a, you know, a total, you know, spaz, if you will. So they definitely, you know, like really established all that, and kind of, you know, let you get an understanding of who the turtles are. You know, I kind of feel like at this point the turtles don't really need a reintroduction. I think they could have kind of sped through that a little bit faster. I think everybody has the basic gist of who the Ninja Turtles are. And, you know, I get that it's an origin story. You're kind of kicking off the new story, or however long they're going to run it. You know, but, you know, I don't know. I guess you could have kind of moved through all that a little bit faster for me. But it wasn't terrible. I mean, I think I would actually go see the second movie if they do end up doing a second movie, which I have no doubt they will. I don't see why they wouldn't. But you know, it's I don't know. I didn't love the movie, and I don't know if it's because I went in there with low expectations. It very well could be my fault. I didn't love it. And maybe it's because the last movie I saw was Guardians of the Galaxy, and you know, everything kind of has to live up to that now. I just didn't. It didn't capture me the same way as some other movies. You know, I'll say this: I also saw The Expendables 3, and if you said, "Hey, you can only go see one of the movies," I would probably go see Expendables 3. You know, Expendables I'd probably give like a 7 out of 10. I don't know, the Turtles weren't bad. I mean, like I said, there was a good amount of action. They definitely kept the pace going. And, you know, they really kind of established the story. Megan Fox as April O'Neil was really not something I was looking forward to, but even she was manageable, you know? Like, she wasn't terrible. I wouldn't say I enjoyed her role, but, you know, she was who she was. She did the trick. You know, Will Arnett was surprisingly an interesting character in the whole shtick. Um, you know, the Foot Clan, I don't know, man. I didn't really love the way that they made them look. They kind of modernized them, but to be completely honest, to see the way that Michael Bay bastardized the Transformers, the way that he made them look, I really am not in a position to complain about what he did here. I think a lot of people, rightfully so, the whole step of the way, the whole process of making this movie gave Michael Bay a lot of shit. And, you know, quite frankly, they should have. He's definitely earned it. You know, what he did with Transformers obviously revitalized the franchise, is probably the only reason that Hasbro is even still in business. I mean, there's a lot of really positive things that you can actually say about, you know, about Michael Bay, what he really did for that Transformers franchise. At the same time, at what cost, you know? Like, if you're a fan of that franchise kind of growing up, you kind of look at it and say, you know, that's not what I grew up with. I mean, yeah, it vaguely resembles it, but at the end of the day, it's not, you know, they could have been a little bit more true to the look and the feel of a lot of those Transformers, and they weren't. You know, all things considered, Michael Bay definitely modernized the Turtles. You know, Donatello had a lot of gadgets and stuff like that, and you know, it all kind of worked, but I don't know. They could have looked worse. Their faces are not great, but I mean, if you consider what they did with the original Ninja Turtle movies and how they looked in those, how they looked very, very cartoonish, at least these kind of had more of a realistic look. There was a big rumor during the kind of advanced lead up to in the making of the movie that they were going to make the Ninja Turtles aliens, and what I actually kind of got a kick out of and laughed pretty hard at was the fact that they alluded to that in the movie. You know, what are we, aliens? There was a joke that was made about it, and it was actually pretty funny that they referenced it. You know, very clearly you know, middle finger to all the critics and everybody that kind of gave him crap for that. You know, Mike Raphael has always been my favorite Ninja Turtle, and I think in this movie he definitely was again. Again, they really played off his hothead kind of routine. He kind of ends up fighting Shredder alone on his own. At one point, gets his ass kicked, but it ends up kind of, you know, working out in the end because ends up. I don't know. I guess I haven't done too many spoilers so far, so I'll just leave that part out of it. But you know, I think they did a good job actually establishing the characters, even though I feel like they took a little bit too long to do it. But you know, all in all, just a really solid, fun movie. If you're, you know, if you have kids and you want to take kids to go see it, I think you'll find a lot to enjoy. This is definitely a decent kids movie. I wouldn't say it's a great kids movie, again, because it is a little slower pace than I liked, and that's really my biggest argument, is the pacing of it. You know, like, yeah, I get that it's an origin story, but I just don't really feel like you had to, you know, go that in depth into establishing them. There's a little bit too much April O'Neil early on, which, you know, is typical of Michael Bay, to focus on the humans a little bit more than, you know, the stars, you know, the robots in the Transformers case, and you know, the turtles in the Ninja Turtles case. 6 out of 10 is not a bad score. I mean, it's not a great score. It's above average. It's not terrible. I don't know, man. I feel like there's enough of a foundation where they can make a second movie and improve upon it, and a lot of people will enjoy it. If you go in there with very low expectations, I think you'll end up enjoying it. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I went alone, so maybe that played into it too. Maybe if I went with somebody, it would have been a little bit more entertaining. But all in all, it was just a movie. Like in a summer full of really great movies, it was probably one of the ones that I could have lived without seeing. I, Lucy was a little bit more well made. I think I gave Lucy a 7 out of 10. If you got me in the right mood, I might give this movie a 6.5. It's nowhere near the level of Guardians or Spider-Man or Captain America, any of those movies. It's nowhere near those movies. It's on a tier with the Lucys of the world. And what else have I seen? Even 22 Jump Street or whatever the Jump Street movie that was out. I actually enjoyed that more than Turtles. So, I mean, there's opportunity there to improve upon it. It's very clear that the Turtles are not going away. I don't see any reason why there wouldn't be a second movie. One last thing I do want to talk about, though, Splinter, and this is definitely a spoiler. Splinter, I don't really understand. So what you're telling me is Splinter was always like one of the most lethal ninjas in the world. And what you're telling me is that Splinter brought these turtles into a sewer, to escape a lab fire. And as a rat, he knew all this stuff. Like, that's what you're telling me. And that a book fell into the sewer that taught the ways of the ninja, or karate, and he taught himself how to be the most lethal ninja known to man by reading a book that fell into the sewer. Like, that's what they're trying to tell me. Like, that's one of those kind of moments where I just face palmed, and I was like, really? And then Shredder, I mean, like, I get their take on Shredder. It's not a bad take. But, man, is he loaded with friggin' stuff. I mean, he's more robot than he is anything. And the thing about Shredder was he was a legit ninja, and yeah, he had some gear, but this Shredder is almost a friggin' machine, So it was like Robo Shredder. I don't know. And the crazy part is this mouse that grew into a tall mouse, ends up taking Shredder to the woodshed and almost beating him, Like, some of the parts of the movie I just don't buy, but, it is a movie, so try not to be too hard on it. I don't know, man. I feel like if I was a different person, like, so the Ninja Turtles were more my brother's thing than mine growing up. It kind of came on the tail end of my childhood and when I was really into, playing with toys and stuff like that. He got all the Ninja Turtles. I was more of a He-Man, a G.I. Joe, Transformers kind of guy. And he was the one that was getting all the Ninja Turtles. So, I mean, I haven't really talked thoroughly with my brother about it, but I know he kind of feels the same. It was okay. It was not terrible. It wasn't great. It was better than I think either of us expected from Michael Bay. So, I mean, that's definitely a really good positive. Anytime you can walk out of a Michael Bay movie and say, it was good for Michael Bay, you're doing pretty well. So, I don't know. The gameplay footage you're seeing, I went to Redbox and I rented this terrible Ninja Turtles game from Nickelodeon. I spent like $4 too much on renting it. So I'm going to go ahead and just let it play out. There's probably going to be another like 10 minutes of gameplay footage. So you can just enjoy it if you want to, and otherwise you can peace out of this video. I might actually cut it. I don't know. I would say at the end of the day, you'll probably end up enjoying the movie. It's not a terrible movie. If you go into it with low expectations and just want to catch a good blockbustery summer movie, it can entertain you and you won't hate it. I think what I liked about it the most is even the things that you kind of want to say, oh man, that doesn't really match up with the story, you know, stuff like that. To me, and maybe it's because I don't, I don't know the ins and outs of the Turtles as much as, say a lot of the Marvel characters. I don't feel like you're gonna watch it and just get really pissed off that they, kind of took their own take on whatever their story they're telling. So, not a bad movie, not a great one. So at the end of the day, it's totally gonna be your call. I saw it in 3D, which I didn't really want to. It happened to be what was playing at the time that I went to go. I spent way too much money on it. I think I ended up spending like $20 when you factor in the movie and popcorn and a drink. So, oh well, I'd love to know what you guys thought of the movie. If you saw it, what did you guys think of Ninja Turtles? Hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I will catch you later. See ya.